Friends, I've been talking about shoulder manual therapy, and I think in first part I almost spoke up to 19 slides. So I'll directly go to slide number 19. That was something about the humor like this. This I can skip it and start with an important concept about the shoulder pathologies. I call it as the IIM concept. It is not Indian Institute of Management. It is I stands for inflammatory, I stands for infective, and M stands for mechanical. Shoulder pathologies can be either inflammatory, infective, otherwise mechanical. If your patient has got infective pathology, then the best option is antibiotics. If your patient has got inflammatory shoulder pathology, then the best options are NSAIDs, otherwise anti-inflammatory medications, and modalities that can reduce the inflammation. But on the contrary, if your patient has got mechanical shoulder pain, then the best option is mechanotherapy or manual therapy. That means our trick here is very simple. That is M for M. Uh, say M stands for mechanical pain, M stands for manual therapy. Now the question comes here is, what is mechanical pain? The pain that is aggravated or relieved by compression or stretch is mechanical. Now to understand, what I want you to do is just point your index finger on the dominant side and use another hand and push it like this, and then you know it hurts. Okay, so now look at it. If you just hold it like this and you take medication, your pain might get reduced, but it will never go off. Even if you get operated on your cervical spine or nose also, your pain will get reduced, but it will never go off. But the moment you take off the hand, your pain goes off. So this is the kind of mechanical pain, or the pain that is aggravated or relieved by pressure, compression, and stretch. So try and understand that when your patient has got say shoulder pain which is mechanical, the key concept is very simple. In acute pathologies, choose the direction that is relieving the pain. So that means in this case, if this was causing the pain, one of the wise decision could be, in very acute pathology, use the direction or otherwise movement that is causing least pain. Okay, here is a gem. That is a humor. Doctor, I have good and bad news. What you'd like to hear first? Patient, well, give me the bad news first. Doctor, you have cancer. I guess you have 2 years left. Patient, that's terrible. In 2 years, I shall be dead. What's good news? Can you give me after this? Doctor says, you also have Alzheimer's. In 3 months, you'll forget everything I told you. Okay, that was just a change. Now let's continue. The shoulder pain can be either intrinsic or otherwise extrinsic. When I say intrinsic, then the pathology is confined in the shoulder. And when I say extrinsic, pathology is located outside the shoulder. Now let's look at it. What are the extrinsic pathologies? Extrinsic pathologies can be, say, onto the left side. You can look at the pathologies such as diaphragm, heart, then spleen, and even the lungs also. Okay, so our trick here is DHLS, that is diaphragm, heart, spleen, lungs, even the spine and the elbow. Now onto the say right side, our trick is simple. I call it as a gales, that is gallbladder, elbow, lung, and spine. So our trick here was DHS and gales. So that means extrinsic pathologies that can cause left shoulder pain are diaphragm, heart, spleen, spine, and even the elbow. On the right side, the referred pathologies that can cause pain are gallbladder, elbow, lung, and spine. Now let's move on to the next part. Next part is about the shoulder pathologies such as intrinsic and extrinsic, another revision here. Now the trick here I use is very simple. If you look at this first letters, they are like APE, ape. So articular, periarticular, and extraarticular pathologies. Then the second trick you can use here is CVS, chest, viscera, and spine. So basically our trick is ape cardiovascular system, articular, periarticular, extraarticular. and CVS stands for chest, spine, and viscera. So you must have heard that when the patient has got MI and patient walks in with a left shoulder pain. So that suggests that your patient can have extrinsic pathologies which are located outside the shoulder but still can come with the shoulder pain. Okay, this is a quick revision about the shoulder pain pathologies. It could be visceral, it could be coming from cervical spine, or otherwise musculoskeletal issues. Now this is a simple trick I use. I call it as the RMP. Of course, this is not for registered medical practitioner, but RMP stands for rest, movement, and position, otherwise posture. If your patient's shoulder pain is altered by rest, movement, or position, otherwise a posture, then it is definitely musculoskeletal. But on the contrary, the movement, rest, otherwise position or posture is not altering the shoulder pain, then definitely it could be coming out of the visceral pathology. So our trick is RMP alters musculoskeletal pathology. RMP doesn't alter visceral pathology. Okay, this is funny thing. I look up your symptoms on Google. If you want a second opinion, I can check Yahoo also. Oh, that's so funny. Okay, now this is a simple trick I use it. I call it as the overhead movement. Just ask the patient to perform the overhead movement at the shoulder. Now just imagine that your patient walks in with a left shoulder pain and you are asking the patient to do the overhead movement of the left shoulder, and after doing overhead movement just ask how's your shoulder pain. If the patient says now my shoulder pain is gone, otherwise it's reduced, then probably the pathology is in cervical spine. But on the contrary, if overhead movement causes the pain, then pathology is in the shoulder, otherwise glenohumeral joint itself. So remember, the trick is overhead movement relieves the pain, it's cervical spine. Overhead movement aggravates the pain, it is shoulder itself. Okay, this is a funny picture that I have put up here. I hope you can appreciate that these are not just the two horses, there's one face also. I hope you can appreciate this is not just the person with a beard, but you can look at a boy and a girl also. So in the same fashion, like these pictures are cozy, sometimes the clinical picture of the patient is cozy. We think problem is in the shoulder, but the problem is in cervical spine. We think the problem is in cervical spine, the problem could be in shoulder. Otherwise, problem could be in both. So we need an ability to neutrally see whether cervical spine is involved, shoulders involved, or both are involved. Now this is a simple rule I use it. That is, if your patient comes with the shoulder pain that radiates down, remember that shoulder pain never radiates below the elbow. And if your patient comes and says that my shoulder pain radiates below the elbow, that can be cervical. So our rule is shoulder pain never radiates below the elbow, and if it radiates below the elbow, it can be cervical origin. Now this is another funny picture of how many faces you see and how many people are there. It's just the one person, this lady. She has painted a face on face. So likewise, we want to actually find out how is the overlap of pathologies in cervical spine as well as shoulder. So this I can skip. That is using manual therapy is like playing chess. Chess says everything about the men and women. The king has to take one step at a time while the queen can do whatever she feels like. Okay, that's a funny thing to convince that using manual therapy is like playing chess. What I mean here is like once you get a patient, you ask like how's your symptom, how much is the intensity, say maybe in percentage. Your patient says that when I perform the shoulder abduction it hurts and it's 80%. Use a technique, otherwise treatment intervention, and after that once again ask the patient to perform the same troublesome movement or otherwise offending movement and re-evaluate. Now if that 80% has become 90 or 100%, you are in the wrong direction. But on the contrary, if that 80% has come down to 50%, you are in the right direction and go ahead. So working as a physiotherapist at the shoulder is like playing chess. You make a move, that means you put intervention, evaluate, re-evaluate, and see if it works. If it works, go ahead. If it doesn't work, don't choose that technique. Okay, this we can skip. Now this is important concept. I call it as Dr. F issue. If you don't like that terminology, then you use a simple trick of Dr. Frozen. Now, DRF issues are very simple. D stands for dislocation, R stands for rotator cuff, and F stands for frozen. Now, here what I mean dislocation is more of instabilities. So this kind of non-traumatic pathologies includes like sprain, strain, subluxation, dislocation. So that's kind of one group of pathologies. Second group of pathologies are rotator cuff. It can be partial tear, complete tear, or rotator cuff tendinopathy, otherwise rotator cuff tendinitis, otherwise impingement, but mostly related with only one thing, that is rotator cuff. And the last one is a frozen kind of pathology. So where patient has just got pain and stiffness, so that's like more of frozen presentation. So all non-traumatic pathologies can be put up into three categories. We call Dr. F issues. So dislocation, in other words, instability. So sprain, strain, subluxation, and dislocation. Rotator cuff disease, otherwise rotator cuff pathologies, and the last one is like frozen pathologies. Now this I can skip, age and shoulder, but remember that shoulder pain at younger age is never common when I talk about non-traumatic. So non-traumatic shoulder pain is never common at young age. Okay, most of the time the attitude is say abducted and externally rotated. Uh, in case of ADS, that is anterior dislocation of shoulder, but otherwise most of the painful conditions, the patient's attitude is adducted and internally rotated. And one of the best trick is to look at the thumb. Say when the patient is standing, look at the thumb, which side thumb is more inward, that means there is more of internal rotation. Okay, swelling is uncommon with a patient who has got shoulder pathology unless and until it is not traumatic. So non-traumatic swelling with the shoulder pathology is uncommon. It can be there in case your patient has got traumatic pathology such as AC joint, otherwise separation or fracture of the distal clavicle. Okay, this is our rule. Rule is very simple. One joint proximal, one joint distal. So when your patient comes with the shoulder pathology, evaluate cervical spine as well as elbow. Uh, During one of the webinar, the student asked me, "Sir, why to evaluate the elbow? And is there any relationship? Can you tell me an example of any elbow pathology causing shoulder pain?" Okay, let's have a day-to-day presentation of a person who comes with the shoulder hand syndrome. In my personal opinion, that's a wrong terminology, just calling it as a shoulder hand syndrome, but it's best way to put up in a brief way. Ideally, I always believe that it should be called as shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, and finger syndrome. Most of the time, when the patient has got pathology, otherwise, say trauma, otherwise fracture around the wrist, the patient can develop this complication where the patient gets pain and stiffness in shoulder, elbow, even the wrist, hand, and the finger. Commonly we call it as a shoulder hand syndrome, but as I say, we should call it as a shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, and finger syndrome. But the technically another terminology is reflex sympathetic dystrophy. Forget about this, but here the rule was very simple: one plus, one minus. That means always evaluate one joint proximal, one joint distal. So when patient comes with the shoulder pathology, do not forget to evaluate cervical spine as well as elbow joint. Okay, have a look at this picture of a boy. Uh, can you see two pathologies? Okay, this boy has got Erb's palsy, and second one is the posterior dislocation. Okay, this I can skip. Crepitus is an interesting thing. Sometimes the patient comes and says that uh, I feel comfortable and I get crepitus. So there can be two types of presentation, that is crepitus through the abduction or flexion, often at the end range, suggesting AC joint pathology. Otherwise crepitus with the arm abducted to 90-degree and internally rotated, and otherwise externally rotated, suggests kind of internal derangement, otherwise impingement syndrome. So if the patient does like this and at the end gets the crepitus, it's more of AC joint pathology. But on the contrary, if the patient does internal or external rotation and feels comfortable and gets the crepitus, then it is like impingement syndrome, otherwise internal derangement of the shoulder, such as even the slap tear. Okay, this is an interesting concept. I call it as a drop arm test, otherwise DAT. Uh, just ask the patient to perform active shoulder abduction and slowly lower it down. If it drops completely and it is painless, then it suggests that your patient has got complete rotator cuff tear. But on the contrary, if while lowering the arm, the patient gets terrible pain, that suggests that there's a partial tear of rotator cuff. So look at two things, whether it is painless or otherwise painful. So if drop arm test, that is actively lowering the shoulder, is painful, then it is partial rotator cuff tear. But drop arm test is positive and it is painless, that means it is just falling suddenly and there is no pain, then it suggests complete rotator cuff tear. uh, Okay, look for the aggravating and relieving factors such as OPKRST, that is onset, precipitating factor, quality, radiation, site, and temporal variation. Look whether overhead movement relieves the pain. We said it could be cervical. Overhead movement aggravates, it could be shoulder pathology. Support to the elbow relieves the pain, then it could be AC separation. Otherwise, say AC joint pathologies such as subluxation, sprain, strain. Relief by the circumduction and rotation, we spoke about impingement. Relief by distraction, it could be subacromial syndrome, otherwise subacromial bursitis. Now this is dangerous thing. That is, your patient says that I feel comfortable when I lie on affected side. Now, quite commonly we come across the patient who has got say right-sided shoulder pain, and patient finds difficulty in sleeping on right side. But on the contrary, if the patient comes and says that, okay, I have right shoulder pain, but when I sleep on right side only, I feel comfortable, that's a dangerous sign. That suggests that your patient has got a serious pathology in the lung. It could be sometimes even the carcinoma also. So look for this trick. Our rule is very simple, that patient should not feel comfortable on lying on the affected side. Affected side lying should create some discomfort. If affected side lying reduces the patient's symptom, then the pathology is probably in the lungs. Okay, this is bionic system that you can think of using for the shoulder pathology. Uh, okay, this is an important concept. I call it as a golf ball concept. A shoulder is a ball and socket. It's like a golf ball on a tee. And an important concept is given by this person called Ben Kibler, who is a physio from UK, and he says that a relationship of scapula to the shoulder is like that of foundation to the building. If foundation is good, building is good. So likewise, if the scapular foundation is good, then shoulder is good. Now look at the trick. Trick is the important muscles here are, I call it as LRST. So this is like levator scapulae, rhomboids, serratus anterior, and lower part of the trapezius. So these are key muscles as far as scapular foundation is concerned. I think I can stop here in the part 2, and we'll continue in part 3 a little later on. So thank you for hearing part 2. I'll continue in part 3 a little later on.